peace, harmony, tolerance, knowledge. These are the values of the Federation, and by extension, the values of Star Trek as a whole. It is a very rosy, one might almost say unrealistically optimistic vision of a future where humanity has cast aside his baser nature to embrace his better angels. Naturally, of course, the Federation didn't simply spring from nothing. But then, what series of events could have conspired to make humanity stop being, well, us, and transform its civilization into the happy, peaceful, relatively idyllic future that so many Trek fans know and love? Welcome to Brainstorm Lore, and welcome to the origins of the United Federation of Planets. The whole song and dance that led to the creation of the Federation basically started when humanity had decided that it had had one brush with extinction too many. That one too many being the Third World War, a conflict that lasted from 2026 to 2053, resulted in a nuclear holocaust, killed over 600 million people, and led to the destruction of nearly every major city on the planet. Apparently, however, the Third World War was not so devastating that it managed to halt scientific progress, as a mere 10 years after the war's conclusion, one Dr. Zephram Cochrane successfully constructed and test flew the Phoenix, the first spacefaring vessel with an actual functioning warp drive, capable of transporting it at faster than the speed of light. Now, while God may not exist in the Star Trek universe, technically, serendipity certainly must, because as Cochrane was making his successful test flight, an alien vessel just happened to be passing close enough to pick up on the Phoenix's warp signature and decided to investigate. This resulted in Cochrane being the first human to ever make contact with alien life, that alien life taking the form of everyone's favorite green-blooded hobgoblins, the Vulcans. Vulcans are a race that prize logic above all else and repress their emotions to prevent them from interfering with their logical faculties. As such, they found humanity a little too irrational and emotional for their liking. In the end, though, they saw that there was some good in our benighted species and decided to take humanity under its wing. By the year 2150, the Vulcans had successfully taught humanity how to make better warp drives, cure poverty and disease, and even helped the various countries unite to form the first actually successful post-national global state known as the United Earth Government. Unsurprisingly, humans and Vulcans have been good friends ever since. 1 year later, the starship Enterprise, not to be confused with the USS Enterprise, was launched under the captaincy of one Jonathan Archer as humanity's first interstellar diplomatic mission to all the other interstellar species of the Alpha and Beta quadrants, most notably the Andorians and the Tellarites. Not long after, however, humanity soon ran into trouble with the Vulcans' evil third cousins twice removed, the Romulans, a group that had long ago rejected the teachings of logic and had also decided to try their hand at interstellar conquest. By the year 2154, Romulan double agents had managed to infiltrate and influence the Vulcan High Command, all in an attempt to achieve a Vulcan-Romulan reunification, on the Romulans' terms, naturally. However, the Romulans saw this new alliance between Vulcan and Earth as a threat to their plans. If that wasn't trouble enough, their Vulcan puppet government was being challenged by a small group of dissidents known as the Cyrenites. Deciding to kill two birds with one stone, the Romulan agents convinced the Vulcan High Command to bomb the human embassy on Vulcan and pin the blame on the Cyrenites. What's more, the collaborators among the High Command claimed that the Andorians were building weapons to use against Vulcan, and urged the High Command to launch a preemptive strike. Unfortunately for the Romulans and their allies, the Enterprise was on hand. Captain Archer and his crew were successfully able to exonerate the Cyrenites and expose the Romulan collaborators among the Vulcan High Command, resulting in their removal from office. Thus, humanity repaid the Vulcans for their help in the past, and the bonds of friendship between the two races were strengthened. However, the Romulans are nothing if not persistent. Their next attempt at galactic conquest was to use a pair of experimental drone ships, capable of disguising their warp signatures, to attack vessels belonging to the Andorians and the Tellarites, thus convincing each side that the other had attacked them. Once again, however, Captain Archer and the Enterprise were on hand to foil the Romulans' plans. The deception was exposed, the drones were destroyed, and Captain Archer successfully mediated peace between the Andorians and the Tellarites. Unsurprisingly, this meant the crew of the Enterprise very much became public enemy number one throughout the Romulan Star Empire. Besides being persistent, Romulans are very, very good at holding grudges. However, the Romulans soon had bigger things to worry about than a single human vessel. In their attempt to sow discord and conflict among the various races of the Alpha and Beta quadrants, they had instead succeeded in unifying them. 1 year later, after the so-called Babel Crisis, humans, Vulcans, Andorians, Tellarites, and several other races met on Earth to form a coalition of planets against the Romulans. The conflict that followed, known as the Earth-Romulan War, was short and sharp, and ended in a decisive and humiliating defeat for the Romulans at the Battle of Charon. The aftermath of the conflict resulted in the creation of a buffer zone between the Coalition and the Empire, known as the Romulan Neutral Zone. Then, in the year 2161, 1 year following the end of the war, the members of the Coalition met in the city of San Francisco in a conference to establish a new united interstellar government, the United Federation of Planets. This conference also resulted in the founding of a combined defense and exploratory force known as Starfleet, its founding charter enjoining all of its officers and enlisted men to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before. The Federation has never been afraid to defend itself from hostile threats, whether those threats be the Romulans, the Klingons, the Borg, or the Dominion. But above all, the Federation's message is one of peace and understanding. At the beginning of this video, I talked about how many people consider the future presented by Star Trek to be overly idealistic, to the point of ridiculousness, in fact. One only needs to point to history, ancient or even modern, to show that when people of different races or ideologies meet, the outcome is conflict rather than harmony, division rather than unity. And it is a fair assessment to make. But does that mean that such idealism should be abandoned altogether? Does such hope and optimism truly have no place when we think about the future and what it might bring? In the years since it first appeared on television in the late 60s, Star Trek has drawn hundreds upon thousands of fans to itself. Some are drawn to the cool aliens and technologies, some to its thought-provoking ideas. Still others are drawn to what the Federation, and by extension Star Trek as a whole, represents. Star Trek represents the possibility of a brighter future. It represents the possibility that one day, perhaps humans can shed their baser natures and truly become the best that they can be. It represents hope. And perhaps more than peace, more than harmony, more than understanding, perhaps hope is the true value, the true message of Star Trek. But if there is value in light, there must also be value in darkness. Next week, I'll be talking about a future that is far grimmer and far darker than the one presented by Star Trek. Next week, I'll be talking about Warhammer 40K. Until then. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and check out my website, studiobrainstorm.net. Studio Brainstorm is a small publishing company looking to reach out to other independent or small-time writers looking to get started. If you have a story worth telling, whether it's a book, comic, novel, or a short story, please contact us. Both email and phone hours are listed on the website. Thank you very much, and have a good day.